Hello. Hope you're all doing well. Doing fine. Came across this last night. I almost made a video on it because it just really pissed me off. I'm tired of just this constant lying that goes on. I'll have a link in the description below. This is the title of the video is Both Sides of the Gender Pronoun Debate, and this is from Dr. Phil on his channel, Dr. Phil. 6 million subscribers. Why did I have more? Well, I guess it's not bad. I mean, obviously, but I know who he is. He's extremely well known, or I don't know, maybe it would be younger people who don't know him very well. And I guess people who just don't agree with him because they just don't know what's going on. Anyways, in this episode that happened, I guess just a few days ago, this was put on the 19th yesterday, January 19th. And he's got, I guess 2 or 3 people. There's this couple, and I think he's got a professor or a self-proclaimed professor. I mean, it's not an actual professor at all. I mean, technically, I guess it is, but it's not based off of anything that's concrete at all. It's just, well, I just think that way. My feelings are, and it's like, that doesn't mean anything. And then they have Matt Walsh on the other side. And he starts off, I've only seen the first couple of minutes, and so we're just going to start about right here, and we're going to go over it and just understand how lying and feelings and emotions just are nonsensical.
You may use he and him as your pronouns, right? I use they and them as my pronouns. We all may have a certain gender pronoun too, but I think it's important for people to understand that for trans and non-binary people, we often change our pronouns to reflect who we are when we come.
Okay, so they just change them. They just make them up randomly, arbitrarily, no rhyme or reason to it at all whatsoever, because that's what they feel like. Their feelings.
Out and be who we are.
How do you explain the difference between sex and gender?
I consider sex to be our biological.
See, I consider my feelings on this matter are, it's like, what are the facts and evidence behind it? Don't tell me what your feelings are. You know, and Dr. Phil, though, was right to set up the question that way because it's the only way you're going to be able to get an answer, which is the stupid nonsense that they're spouting.
Makeup, our chromosomes, or hormones, our genitals, and biological.
Explain the difference between sex and gender.
I consider sex to be our biological makeup. Our chromosomes, or hormones, our genitals is a biological makeup. But our gender is more of an internal sense. So think of it like this. Sex is what's between the legs, and gender is what's between the ears.
Okay, this is wrong. This is their made-up nonsense. Because whenever you can go to Wikipedia, and you can look at gender, which is, it is the range of characteristics. Characteristics are defined. It's not this made-up nonsense in your head pertaining to femininity and masculinity and differentiating between them. That's it. It's based off of female and male characteristics. Nothing else. It's no more. It's like right over here, the symbol that they use. This is the male and masculine symbols that they have. There's not a third or a fourth. There's no Z and Zer. There's no others. And then we get down to the history of it. The modern English word gender comes from the Middle English gender, which comes from Anglo-Norman, Middle French, from Latin. And it's like, whenever they were doing this, there were 0 hormone treatments to do. There was no concept of it at all whenever they were using the term gender. It wasn't this transgender lie that's being spouted off today. And they even say this in Wikipedia. You get here to the history of the concept. The concept of gender in the modern sense is a recent invention in human history. The ancient world had no basis of understanding gender as it has been understood in the humanities and social sciences for the past few decades. Because it's not real. You can go around and say that you're a Wookiee all night and day. It's the same thing. They would have no concept back then as to what the hell a Wookiee is. It's something that's been made up by George Lucas with Star Wars. It's not real. And just because you may want to feel like you're a Wookiee, you may feel like you're transgender, it doesn't make it true. I do not give a damn about your feelings. There's over 8 billion people, well, not over 8 billion, but we're getting really close to 8 billion people in the world. And if this is what we did, if we just made shit up, it's like nobody would know what the hell's going on. How are you going to keep track of 8 billion pronouns? It's more than that because, you have he, her, and she, or he, him, and she, and her. So that doubles it right there. So 16 billion. And then how are you going to read somebody's mind to even know where to even start? It's ridiculous.
Right? It's how we see ourselves on the inside.
I don't give a damn how you see yourself on the inside. You want to see yourself as a flat blob, just roly-polying around on the ground, can't get up, fat, whatever. Go ahead, knock yourself out. I do not care. But this just makes me sick to my core. You are a liar. You are sitting up there trying to say, look at me, look at how special I am, look at what I'm doing, me, 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 me. I don't care what you think. I don't care what reality is. This is narcissistic to the core.
Okay. And that's something somebody can't know. Gender is something somebody can't know just by looking at somebody.
Yeah, because
even says it. There's no way to know. There's no way to know because it's make-believe. It's fiction. It's whatever they decide to make up. Oh, I'm an attack helicopter. Google it. I'm an attack helicopter. You'll see that like flying around like crazy with memes because that was a thing. I'm an attack helicopter. It's like, no, you're not. You know what? Then if that's the case, then I'm the Lord God Almighty. Bow down before me.
Because everyone is going to present and express themselves in a different way. I know it's very...
No, that is your personality. That you are describing your personality. This is my personality of who I am and what I am. That's what they're describing, not their gender. Gender's already been defined, and it's been defined since the beginning of time. For eons, it has already been defined. Your gender is based off of your genitalia.
Confusing, right? Everyone's like, what is going on?
That's right, because nobody can read your mind. Nobody knows what the hell's going to come out of your mouth because it varies from one to the next. It's like if you go and you talk to these people who are doing this crap, especially the guys, and they're like, oh, well, I'm a girl now, I'm a woman, and they go off and they compete. They deal with this subject completely different because it's all fake.
But it's really, about us breaking that assumption that we can tell someone's identity, someone's story, their pronouns, even their name.
No, pronouns are based off of facts. That this is something that you can see. You can see this is a guy, this is a girl. For the most part. It's like, yeah, there's some gray area with some, but outliers don't count. And you're talking about statistics with outliers. So you have the group, the overwhelming majority of the percentile of people who fall into this. And then you have a few wackaloons out here, for whatever reason, that are out here all by themselves. There's not very many, but as the population gets bigger, just because of that base number, it gets bigger. So if you have 100 people and 99 of them are all a part of this, but you have 1%, so that's one of them that's out there. It's like, well, it's just one person. But if you have 100 million people, well, now that 1% is 1 million. It's still a small percentage of the population, but because the base number is 100 million, then that 1% is just, it's large in a way because a million is still a large number. But just because you have more people behind it doesn't change facts. And the facts are you have your X and Y chromosomes, and we have the two different genitalia. So, and yeah, we're getting into it.
Just based on how they look, right?
Yeah. And so how does...
Part of the reason why men dress like men and women dress like women is because of this. Exactly this. It's like, I'm not interested in men. I'm interested in dating and being intimate with women. And whenever you come up to me, if you're a guy and you dress as a woman and you come up and you lie to me to my face because you've put on a dress and makeup and you tell me that you're a woman, it's like, I have a problem with you, you liar. And yes, you will get my fist in your face if you do that to me. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to capitulate to your whims. I'm not here to act like a damn child and play little dress-up games. That is not it. I cannot, it is mathematically impossible that we could do this as far as our imaginations would allow us to take it, and there's no way that that could prove to be functional at all.
Does someone ask? How does somebody clarify that? Ethan, how would you, what's the best way? What's the most comfortable way?
I think for me, to create a safe space for people to...
So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that they're actually a straight couple. That this one was born as a girl and the other one was born as a guy, but the guy's dressing up as a girl and the girl is dressing up as a guy. So they're still... And you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with you. I just do not care. My life has enough going on that I do not want to play these games and do a million questions to try to figure out what you're about. I don't care at all. You want to, go ahead, knock yourself out, go dig yourself in a hole and live miserably because you don't know what the hell it is that you're doing. You're just making stuff up. I'm not doing that.
To share the pronouns, I will say, hi, my name is Ethan. I use he or they pronouns. What about you?
I think it's really important for us.
It's like, no, it's not okay because that's a lie. I'm not going to abide by this line. This is what politicians do. This is what con artists do. It's just what's been going on with the COVIDs is that they've been lying. And it's like, well, why? Well, because it was that they created 7 new billionaires and now I think it's up to 9 new billionaires. And just today, I started seeing stuff about how the UK is going to get rid of their passports, their vaccine passports, and mask mandates. And then there was another place that was doing it. I can't remember. What was that other place? There was 2 of them. But anyways, they're getting rid of it. It's like, well, are there a lot of elections coming up? The Democrats here in the U.S., they have 28 senators on the federal level, not state, but on the federal level, who have announced retirement. It's one of the largest exodus of the Democratic Party that we've had in decades. It's because people, it's like, how do you deal with this? And people are upset all over the spectrum with this crap.
Us to recognize other people's pronouns.
No, I don't have to do one damn thing at all. You can go sit on that broom handle and spin until you're raw. I don't have to do anything because what makes you so special? What makes you more special than the 8 billion other people on the planet? Because even if they want to agree with you that you can make up your own gender pronouns, how are you going to respect 8 billion of them? You're never going to know them. Never.
because, again, we can't make that assumption. But for so many people,
that's the whole point, is that you can make that assumption. Because before this nonsense, that's exactly how it was that you could look at them and automatically make that 100% correct assumption.
who are cisgender, meaning that you do identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth, you're not transgender or not non-binary, I think a lot of people don't even question their pronouns because we already use them and it's already assumed correctly.
That's because the mass majority of people aren't stupid. It's like life is complicated enough that even if we wanted to go down this route, you can't.
But for so many trans and non-binary people, that isn't often assumed correctly. So we need to take the time to get to know people.
No, I have no time to get to know you at all. You know, I do not give a damn about knowing a buttload of people at all. And it's because it's the same problem. It's like, how many presidents of the United States have you gotten to know? How many state governors have you gotten to know? How many Congress people, senators on the federal level? What about state level? There's a lot of them. There's 50 states. Each state has their own House of Representatives and senators there at the state level. How many of them have you gotten to know? Where you got to sit down, you got to talk to them, you got to talk about decades of your life that brought you and led you to being the person that you are today. That you got to talk about your personal situation, your finances, your education, who you've married, what your debt is, your skills, your talents, that they get to know you. It's never happened. You know, if you're lucky, you might know a couple. But it's just not the case. It's just like, how many soldiers have you gotten to know like that? How many doctors? How many lawyers? How many mechanics? How many IT guys? How many CEOs of billion-dollar corporations? You can't. But they want to make it where you go out in public and you have to identify with this fake crap. What is it? New York? They have what, 72 recognized genders? Here, I just pulled it up. While we were taught there are only 2 genders, male and female, in New York, there are 31 genders recognized by the government of the city that never sleeps. What is this? I don't know what it is. I thought it was more than that. I thought they were in the 70s. 31. That one's saying 31. That one's saying 31. But according to Mayor of New York City, Bill Blasio there, 31 keeps coming up. It's like, why stop there? Why stop there?
Gender. It says adjective that describes a person whose gender identity matches or aligns with the gender he or she was assigned at birth. Now, this would be what has been traditional for centuries, right? Why does it?
See, forever, whenever they came up with this term for gender, that cisgender and transgender was never a thing. It did not exist. But because these people want their 15 minutes of fame, here we are. And there are lunatics out there too that there are weak beta people who, instead of doing what's right, they want to do what's easy. Instead of putting them in their place by saying, this is not real, this is lies, this is fake, they just say, oh yeah, it's okay. It's like, no, it's not. Lying is not okay. And if you think that it is, then go start lying to everyone everywhere. With everything. Oh, it's $40 for this. You only gave me 10. No, I didn't. Go start lying. Go dress up as a doctor. Go walk into a clinic and start doing surgeries on someone. Just start lying. It's okay. It's fine. Go dress up as a cop. Start arresting people. Start shooting people. Oh, I'm an officer. It's okay. No, you're not. You're lying.
Didn't need a term.
You know, if we don't use that term, then we end up saying maybe real men or normal men or regular men, right?
Because that is it. That is normal. That is regular. That is correct. That's why that is the overwhelmingly proportionate of men and women are not what you are. I want to look at the screen, but the camera's up there.
Or we just say men, and then we say maybe transgender men, right? And the thing is that we need to realize that
It's like, no, there's no such thing as transgender. That is a fake word. That is a word that is just the same as Wookiee. These are people who, for whatever reasons, I don't know. It would only be speculation. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons, though, not just one.
trans women are women, trans men are men too. And so we just want to have a term for that.
No, they're not. No, they're not. You can look at what's going on with sports, and you can look at these men who go around proclaiming that they are women, that they are trans women, and trans women are women too. And it's like, no, they're not. Because they're shattering all of these records previously held by real women.
Privilege, that assumption that your gender identity is going to match the one that you were assigned at birth.
It does match. Just because you're screwed up in the head doesn't change that. Just because you're not like this, where you're one of these people where you can easily identify them as having issues, that these are mentally challenged adults, mentally challenged people, just because you're able to function and to get by in the real world, that doesn't mean that you're just good in all aspects of your life. Instead of having major problems all throughout, it's more concentrated here in this one little area where you have this gender stuff going on. And some of these people are just fake actors. There are plenty of people, whenever I look at them, especially whenever you start looking at these guys who are performing in women's athletes saying that they're trans women, it's like they're absolute liars. They're absolute liars.
Right. And then transgender adjective describes a person whose gender identity does not match or align with the gender they were assigned at birth. And then non-binary describes a person whose gender identity does not fit into the traditional binary of man or woman. And that term can be abbreviated to, and how do you pronounce that?
NB.
NB.
NB, yeah.
Oh.
Let's go ahead and move it up to Matt Walsh here, because he just really does a good job of saying all this stuff that's like, no, this is...
And then eventually tries to drop him off at a zoo to live with other walrus. Not only topping the throne, where people, his mom's a little sick.
Transition or just socially transition or both.
My name is Matt Walsh, and I've written a book called Johnny the Walrus. This book is about identity and imagination. He identifies as a walrus. His mom's a little silly. She takes it seriously and thinks he really is a walrus. So she went on her phone, and there were people telling her that this isn't pretend. He's really a walrus. And his mother takes him to the doctor to have him surgically transition, and he gets him walrus hormone pills, and then eventually tries to drop him off at a zoo to live with other walrus. Not only topping the Amazon charts, my book has taken the world by storm.
You're saying that...
Reminds me of that. There was a meme on, I think it was on YouTube. That's where it got created, but it was this little boy, and he was doing some little interview, asked some question, and he just blurts out, "I'm a turtle." Or I'm sorry, it's not I'm a turtles. I like turtles.
Face paint job. What do you think? I like turtles. Then
Like that's exactly what I think of with these people here. Is that they're just kids. They have not matured at all, and they just they face paint, they cosplay, and they do all this stuff, and it's like I can see how that can be fun, I guess, but there's a line. You know, they want to talk about how video games and movies sometimes, they used to talk about this more back in the 90s, that this is going to lead to people growing up, these kids going out and being violent and shooting, and it's like there's no correlation. But you know what, if that's what they want to say, it's like, well, you know what, then yeah. And this is also a correlation. Then if you want to say that video games cause violence, then video games and movies and TV shows or whatever causes this transgender lunacy as well too. You know, because that's what they're doing. They're dressing up. They're putting on their clown paint. So
There should be no construct of gender, just sex. You're either male or female.
Right.
And someone feeling in a mental, emotional way that they don't identify with the sex that they have been biologically created as and assigned at birth based on their genitalia. If they don't feel that way, that there's no construct that describes that, experiences that.
Well, that's got nothing to do with the realities. You can feel however you want. I mean, I could sit here and say that I feel like a tomato plant, but that doesn't mean that I'm actually in those things. So yourself.
yeah, so I've tried to listen to Matt Walsh before because I like Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. I haven't watched actually Ben or the Daily Wire in a while, but Matt Walsh, usually he says things that it's like, you're going overboard with this stuff, man. You're taking it too far. I usually don't agree with him on things. I guess he would be an example of somebody who's a little bit further on the right. So I don't know if I'm left or right. I'm classic liberal. It's people need to have as much freedom as you can possibly get them, and it's the government's job to provide them with all the freedoms that they can possibly give that person. But I don't think all people deserve the same amount of freedoms. It's like people who are in cognitive or people who are mentally incapable of making decisions for themselves obviously should not have as many freedoms as the normal average person. Because the answer is not, we're just going to kick you out onto the streets and let you be homeless. It's like that is not the answer. They are, I don't care what they say. I don't care what words come out of their mouths. It's like, where are the actions to back that up? Oh, you're okay? You're fine? Well, then let's go to your place. And I don't mean the place provided to you by the government through HUD or some kind of welfare program. I mean your place where you are self-sufficient, taking care of your stuff. Now, there are people out there who are on welfare, and they don't want more. They don't want to work like a slave, like a dog. They just want to work enough to be able to get by, and they'd rather spend their time in their chosen faith, putting emphasis on that, or they want to put emphasis on their family or relationships. So, and that's fine. But whenever you can't even get by with the basics, with food, clothing, and shelter on your own, and you're living homeless out there on the streets, it's like, nope, that's a bridge too far. And Dr. Phil, I used to, he always sounded like he said good stuff, but it was like, does he really kind of mean this? And I've seen him in a few interviews, and one of them, who was he talking to? Maybe it was Joe Rogan. And he said, yeah, I never do a show expecting to change the mind, either anybody's minds of anyone who's up there on stage. He said, what happens though, where you do get that change is from people who are watching. He's like, that's what happens, is that people will watch the show and they'll say, oh my goodness, that's us. That's me. I didn't realize it, but seeing it in this content, in this frame of life, it's like, oh my goodness, yep, we yell, we say those things, we do those things. Oh my goodness. And it's like, that's what he's after. And it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So just a little FYI.
Perception, you can have whatever self-perception you want, but you can't expect me to take part in that self-perception or to take part in this kind of charade, this theatrical production. You don't get your own pronouns, just like you don't get your own prepositions or your own adjectives. You know, it's like if I were to tell you, my adjectives are handsome and brilliant, and no matter whatever you're talking about me, you have to describe me as handsome and brilliant because that's how I identify. Makes no.
Yeah, that's right. You do not live in this world alone, and people cannot just read your minds and to know how it is that you want to be treated. You know what you do if whatever way that you want to be treated as, you have to go and you have to play within the confines of society, within their rules, because we are not gods who can just know everything. You have to play within the set limitations of human beings. And human beings, we don't have unlimited mental capabilities. We can't read minds, and we can't remember, screw 8 billion. What about 8,000? Could you remember 8,000 pronouns or 8,000 people's personal pronouns, which would be 16,000? Could you do that? It's like, hell no, you can't. What about 100? That there were 100 people and they all had their own separate, unique pronouns. And at least double. So that's 200. Are you going to keep that straight? Nope. Nope.
No sense. You don't get your own pronouns. That's grammar. That's language.
So you think it's a delusion? Someone is self-delusional.
Yeah, I think it's delusion. It could be mental illness. It could be it's a lot of different. With children, wow. There's also just a baby.
You know what? Wow is not a response. You know what? You are not going to sit there and shame me until I capitulate to your bullshit. Tell you what, you can go fuck yourself and the horse that you rode in on, bitch. I don't give two fucks. You can take your row and you can shove it up your ass. Until you come to me with something that's concrete, it's like, there's a cliff. Go take a long walk. Whenever you get to the edge, let me know. I'll help you off. I'm going to push. Because I'm not doing this crap.
Basic confusion that all kids have. Like, that's why when you hear a parent say, oh, my 4-year-old son came to me and said that I'm a girl now, and so that's what I'm gonna raise him as a girl. Look, you're a 4-year-old. I have 4 kids. When a 4-year-old boy comes to you and says, oh,
you know why she's looking all confused there? Because she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't do any of this stuff. She's still just a child herself because she hasn't grown the fuck up and she's playing these goddamn games. She's getting called out on. It's like, listen, sweetheart, you're an adult now. It's time to grow up. Put on your big girl britches and get your head out of your ass.
I'm a girl. Here's a good follow-up question. What is a girl? Ask him what he means by that. What do you mean by girl? And when you ask him that, here's what he'll tell you. He will tell you what he really means is that he wants to do some of the things that girls do, like play with the dollhouse, or he likes the color pink. That's fine. Play with the dollhouse. That's fine. Play with the dollhouse. But you're still a boy. That's a question I would like to throw out to other members of the panel. Actually, because just like the 4-year-old can't answer what is a girl. Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. It's like, what is a woman? Can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say.
No, oh man, and he gets them. It's like, yes, you can. Because they have definable characteristics. They are visual. They are scientific. With all the way down to your X and Y chromosomes, to who can give birth and who can't, to who carries the baby and who doesn't, to who has the denser muscle mass and who doesn't. It's like there is a reason. You are not going to tell me for 1 second that every single woman in every single sporting event since the beginning of time has just, all of them decided that I'm going to underperform than the men. That there hasn't been one woman in history who decided, screw it, I'm not going to play this game, and I am the best, and I'm going to beat everyone, including the men, all of them. It's never happened, not once.
Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Well, that's
how do you define a female?
someone with female reproductive organs.
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing: when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being.
Interesting. So
it's not interesting. It's just a fact. It's a simple goddamn fact that they've known for eons. So, yeah, oh, this is a small-framed, fully developed muscular system or skeletal system where the bones are dense, they've calcified because they entered adulthood. And because of the way the bone structure is, such as how much they have with their hips, with their hip bones to allow the passage of a baby, and all these other characteristics like where the joints are and the sockets with the shoulders, and we know that this is a woman. It's not a guess. It's not a speculation. It's not made up. It's a fact. Anything else is a lie because you can't prove it.
So I'm trying to understand. Your definition is that a woman is someone who is
wrong. It is not his definition. It is a fact. Those are facts. It's not something that you can just do once. It is something that you can replicate time after time after time after time again.
female, you said, right?
You know, and this is the problem, is that this asshole is fucking lying. This is not Matt's. Matt did not come up with this. Matt is not an archaeologist. Matt is not a doctor. This is how it is in archaeological books. Whenever you go and you find like a tomb and you're trying to figure out who these people are, you can figure out which ones were the males and which ones were the females. That whenever you go to medical school, they can say, this is a skeletal system of a man. This is a skeletal system of a woman. But this fucker doesn't want to say this. They're wanting to play games. It's not Matt's opinion. It's science.
Right. There's a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? You know, cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, that maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe doesn't have the...
Then that is someone... Man, this is so stupid. There are men and women who are born all the time who have defects. All different kinds. Whether it's you have no sense of taste, you're colorblind, you're deaf, that does not make you a man or a woman. It's these overwhelming characteristics. It's like, yeah, you know what? You can still be a woman if you can't reproduce because you have all these other characteristics, these proven characteristics. What is your bone system like? What is your muscular system like? What is your color vision like? Because women can see colors brighter and sharper than what men can. More men tend to be colorblind. Men have thicker skin. Women's skin is more sensitive, which is part of the reason why things like their soap and shampoos cost more, because they have to use special ingredients that are harder to get, which means that it costs more to get those things because they're more unique. This is not a counter-argument. This is what lying pieces of trash do all the time, and that is they want to pick one thing and say, oh, I got you. It's like, no, you didn't, because the world is complicated.
Those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as
He did not say womanhood. He said, what is a woman? And womanhood is the same thing. But you know what? It's these word games that they keep playing.
Explained, I cannot define because I am not.
You can define them because it's science. It's there. It's because you're a liar. You're shit. You're the reason why we have this crap going on with COVIDs. It's why there are all these transgender sport things going on. That's just ridiculous. So much evil in the world happens because of liars. I think some of it is that our entertainment has gotten too out of control. They want to say something like, "Oh well, evil is like orcs eating babies, and or the empire, you know, where they just have just flat out obvious evil intentions and evil names, and it's just all over the place, and it's like it's fake." Thor and Thanos and Superman and all that stuff, that's fake. In the real world, we don't have that shit. In the real world, this is evil. And that's liars.
But you used the word, so what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing.
He's not interrupting. You're not answering. You're playing a straw man game. It's like a straw man is where you try to give a response, whether if you're asking a question or answering it, and you switch it a little bit. We need to ban handguns because handguns kill people. You want to ban all guns? No, I said handguns. They do this. They do this with assault rifles. They do it constantly. They play around and they jump on it because they don't stay focused. And that's what Matt's doing. He's saying, no. This is not what I'm asking. You are going to answer this question. And I saw this section of the video before on another channel. So I don't remember if he stays on it or not because, I mean, they don't. But I don't remember if Matt tries to keep them on point.
So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman.
I don't identify as a kid, but I know what the hell a kid is. I don't identify as a dog, but I know what the hell a dog is.
Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It includes people
That
who...
describes what?
People who...
He is asking a question. He wants an answer. He knows exactly what he wants, and you are not doing it. And they do this constantly. Or they just go up and they just want to give a speech. That's all they do. Oh, man, I'm going to go ahead and go into it right here.
The senator from Arkansas. Inflation.
This is just in. Tom Cotton directly confronts Democrats on changing their written position on filibuster. This is from Forbes breaking news. This came on yesterday. And it's like, screw these stupid piece of shit Republicans.
Is at its highest level in 40 years. Drug overdose deaths and illegal border crossings are at record levels. The murder rate is the highest since the 1990s. Russian troops are massing on Ukraine's border, and the President of the United States just green-lighted Vladimir Putin to invade. And China is continuing its aggression.
And so what? All these things are horrible. They brought Trump up on impeachment because supposedly he had hookers in a hotel and they were urinating on each other. And his tax forms, which has nothing to do with him as being president. This was stuff that happened before he was in office. These are things that these politicians are currently doing in office with their power. It's like Joe Biden with Ukraine and his son Hunter and their shared bank accounts. Are you kidding me? I don't need this. I don't need more word garbage down my throat. This asshole is a liar. He has no plans to do anything. He's just up there grandstanding. This is just another Democrat. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because it's like, well, what's your response to this? What is your plan of action to get this to stop permanently? It's just like, I took this business law class a few years ago, and one of the projects that we had at the end of this semester was that I don't remember if we got to choose or if it was assigned to us. I think it was assigned to the whole class, and we all kind of had to come up with. But it was about the economic housing bubble that happened in 2008 in the United States under, what was that, Obama. And he was going around preaching, just like, every American deserves affordable housing, and so we're going to lift all these restrictions so that anybody can get a house. And it's like, that was just utter disaster. And then at the end, whenever we were all done with our presentation, because it's like, I knew this stuff, and we had a little bit of extra time with a few minutes, and it's like, I'll answer questions. Because it's like, I've got this up, down, left, right, back, front, forward. It's like, I got this. And one of the things that I told them was that, so what? Let big business fail. Who cares? It doesn't mean a damn thing. Because the only people who are going to be without a job are the people at the top, because they're the ones who let the company fall into such disarray. And the reason why they were taking big chances like this was because they had backing from the government to come and bail them out. That they weren't doing this stuff before that promise was made. And it's like, so what if they fail? You know what? Because this part of it was bailing out these big banks because they were the ones backing up so many of these home loans that were going on. It's like, take Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo goes under. So what? The reason why all those people are there in the first place, dealing with those banks, their reasons aren't gone. They still need the bank account so they can have an automatic deposit of their paycheck into their account. Or they want an automatic withdrawal from their account to help pay off their bills. Or they still need that home loan or that car loan or student loans or whatever it is. Whatever reasons those customers are there, those reasons are still there. And so if Wells Fargo's just bankrupted themselves and just ceased to exist and they failed, well, all these customers are just going to go to another bank. And so what does that mean? All right, so now we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the U.S., or maybe even, I don't know, we'll keep it within the U.S., that they still need a bank. So they're going to go to other banks. And what does that mean? Other banks are now going to see an increase of demand. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to hire more people. It's like, oh, we need to hire more tellers. We're going to have to hire more supervisors for those tellers. We're going to have to open up new branches in some of these locations. And that means more managers. We're going to have a larger HR department. We're going to have more to do with accounting. They're going to have to hire more people. Guess what? Wells Fargo just went out of business. All their employees got fired. We have plenty of people to choose from, so we can find people who are already trained, who can come in and work immediately, and we don't have to do nearly as much training on them because they're already good to go. And you know what? They're not going to look at this teller or some bank supervisor or manager and say, well, we're not going to hire you because Wells Fargo failed. It's like they weren't in charge of a damn thing. That was the CEO of Wells Fargo, the president or whatever, who was in charge of that made those decisions. That was only the upper tier echelon doing that. It wasn't this lower management crap. It wasn't the frontline workers at the bank, the tellers, the loan officers. It wasn't any of them. It's like they're going to get that job. So what if they fail? Let them. But at the end of it, whenever we were done with the presentation, this one kid in my group, it's like, I don't know why he did this. And he just spouted out, just out of nowhere. Yeah, it's a shame that bubble burst. It'd be nice to know why that happened. It's like we were literally done. We were done. He stepped up, he said that. And everybody and then we all sat down. It's like, wrong, you dumb little shit. Nobody gives a damn about why the bubble bursted. People care. Why was there a bubble in the first place? There never should have been one. Then nothing matters. It's like, because the only reason why that bubble existed was because of what the government did, because of what Obama and all those losers did. They lied. The reason why those people didn't have homes was because their credit score sucked. And their credit scores sucked because they couldn't manage their money well enough, because they wanted to spend their money on other things, and so they would default on the loans and the smaller, like car loans and student loans and just general loans and just in general, or credit cards that they had defaulted on, that they didn't want to pay on, and they were considered too high of a risk. And that's exactly what happened. All these people who normally would not have been qualified, now they are. People who couldn't get it together for whatever reasons. It's like, why did that happen? Same damn underlying reason. They lied. Why? Because it's corrupted. Why is it corrupted? Because these people aren't held to any standards. They have no responsibility to this at all. They can go in, they can serve their terms in office, and then they can just walk away. It's like, oh, the economy went to shit. So what? Big deal. This is exactly what the Democrats are doing right now. All these people have screwed up the economy. They've made these people billionaires, and who knows how many millionaires in the process. And you know what? You're out of your damn mind if you don't think that there are plenty of Democrats and Republicans who haven't been getting a little bit of extra money in their pockets too. It's like, you bet they have. It's like, I'm rich now. I've been doing this for a long time. My pockets just got filled up and then some. It is overflowing. Seems like a good time to retire. It has nothing to do with you or me. It's just about them. They're wealthy. They've got everything taken care of. That their retirement is secure. What the hell do they care? Screw it. I am stopping right here. I'm sorry. I know there's more to go over with that interview, but it's like, it's just too much to say on all this stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye.